Hello again, it's me. Well, I hope that the introduction to the series of the video clips which I released today has turned out attention-grabbing, at least to some extent, and for some of you. And I'm quite eager, uh, as the English say, I'm full of beans, to continue telling you what has happened to me. Again, I would like to underline that these stories are not fiction at all. On the contrary, they all have come about in my life. The only question which I thought over was concerning the necessity of changing the names of the characters, or better say, people who happen to have been a part in the stories. And finally, I have decided to change only some of them. However, some of you who have known me for a long time will definitely recognize yourselves in these episodes. By this, I mean to say that you will have a brilliant opportunity to take another look at yourselves at another angle. Some of you are living in other states now, such as South Korea, the Russian Federation, the Ukraine, the United Arab Emirates, the UK, Australia, the USA. But what I'm sure about is that if one of them happens to hear me describing a situation related to him or her, they will immediately understand that it is they who I'm talking about. But I still have something to talk about before I get down to perhaps the most captivating part. Okay, let's come back to what I talked about in the previous video. As I mentioned above, I started seeing something which others couldn't see at all, and I would like to describe you a couple of such episodes demonstrating my, let's call them skills. It's another summer late evening. I've been in bed trying to fall asleep, but like all children in the world, it seems to be a problem because my parents are watching an interesting film in the dining room, and of course I would like to join them, but I'm not allowed to because of my mother's restrictions. They both are going back and forth from the kitchen into the dining room to fetch some beverage in order to enjoy watching the long film. So that to get the picture entirely, I will give you some details concerning the layout of the home. The bedroom is between the dining room and the kitchen. That's why I can see my dad and mom walking by. The door from the bedroom to the dining room is ajar. After mom has passed by another time, I glance at the door to see an absolutely black hand holding the door. Mm-hmm. You didn't mishear me say black hand holding the door. It's not moving, but its motionlessness doesn't make it less scary. Neither of my parents sees it, though they have passed the door a few times. The black hand makes me petrified with terror. I can barely move under the blanket. And this is not the last time of my feeling that way, by the way. Even now, when I'm telling you these details, I'm not feeling secured. The light in the kitchen is on. The TV set in the dining room is on too. The bedroom where I'm at this moment is in half light. I'm blinking, hoping that it will disappear, but it doesn't work. It's still on its initial position. After a few minutes of my struggling my inner fear to utter a sound to call to my mom, I finally managed to mumble, "Mom, Mom, please come up to me." She isn't hurrying to come, but finally she makes, and that makes me feel abandoned, of course, facing up to the black hand. When she finally shows up, of course, I'm telling her about the intruder clutching the door. Trying to soothe me, she stands up, coming up to the door. She's certainly unable to see it. She raises her hand, touching the upper flank of the door, and her hand gets through the black hand. which makes the situation even worse. I ought to admit that I don't remember the outcome of that episode and how I finally fell asleep, but what I inferred to then was that besides us, the dwellers in this hole, there are some others who can show themselves now and then, partially. And that conclusion I made then was a heavy burden in psychological terms, which I had to deal with for countless days. Well, another spine-chilling situation occurred later. As it was a long time ago, I don't remember the exact time, but it doesn't distort the whole situation, I guess. Now I'm 5 years old. It's night again, and I'm asleep. I'm peacefully sleeping, but suddenly I wake up because I feel a heavy, intent look fixed upon me. When I open my eyes, I can see a creature standing right before my bed. Let me try to describe you the thing. First of all, there is a night lamp in the shape of a white candle. It is put on the left wall and it's on and is giving off the blinking red light. I liked it a lot in my childhood. Unfortunately, it broke down, and due to our numerous moves to other apartments, it got lost. Okay, coming back to the thing staring at me. It wasn't tall at all. Looking back on the event, I understand that it was as high as 1.5 meters. Its head was huge and not proportional. It wasn't a typical human-like head. It was rather ellipsoid, I would say. The length of the head was roughly 30 to 40 centimeters. And while its width was nearly a half of the length. The corpus wasn't a standard humanoid-like either. I would say it was a large ellipsoid, but the upper limbs were rather short, like this, short. As for its legs, I couldn't see them. However, the most disgusting about the shape was that I couldn't see any eyes. So the absence of eyes made me frightened too. Instead of them, there were two holes through which I could see the red light gleams. I was looking uh, up at him, and it was looking down at me, and it lasted for about maybe 20 seconds or 15 seconds until I blinked my eyes again, and the next moment when I opened my eyes, it was gone, and I peacefully fell asleep again. Well, if some of you believe that I saw the type of things only when it was dark outdoors, you're wrong. To prove it, I would like to bring another example. Our neighbor, Uncle Khalmat, who was my father's best friend, used to look in on us quite often. And one day he came into to talk to my dad, but he was out for some reason. And Uncle Khalmat started to ball-walling with my mom in the kitchen. And while they were talking and having tea, I was in the dining room on my own. I had already put away all my toys, thinking of what I'd like to do next. And suddenly, a gas-like, half-transparent horseling appeared in the corner of the room and started to make some strange moves up and down. Can you beat it? Just a typical horseling with a hoof, and up, down, repeatedly and silently. It would be wrong to claim that I saw such demonstrations every day. Of course not, but on a regular basis, yes. And I would say that this is the last episode before I start telling you about some magic, pure magic, mainly black magic, which is known as black craft. Thank you for your attention. I hope that it was interesting for you too.